Shalom Aleichem. It's the Shleishim of HaRav v'haChasid HaTomim, HaRav HaGoan, Reb Yisroel Friedman Olav Shalom, known as Reb Yisroel. Reb Yisroel, although I wasn't his Talmud, but because of his relationship and closeness to my father, I had opportunity to speak with him quite often, and in particular to discuss Lubavitch history, Hasidim, and other Jewish history. And that's what I want to add to what's been said already about Reb Yisroel. And I'll give a few examples of his style and yediyah and his knowledge. I approached him once and I said, Reb Yisroel, what's your opinion about HaRav Soloveitchik's drushes, his chokhmah, his Torah, Rabbi Yasha Ber Soloveitchik, the Rav? And then I asked him, in addition to that, did you ever attend one of his Yortzeit Shiurim? The Rav gave 2 Yortzeit Shiurim a year, one for his father, one for his mother. I think for his father was in Shvat, and it was attended by 2,000 people at Lampert Hall, Lampert Auditorium at the Yeshiva University on Amsterdam Avenue, Manhattan. And it was standing room only, and it was a four-hour talk, usually 4 or 5 hour talk with 2 hours halacha and 2 hours drush. So he said, I'll tell you, I went one time. So that itself surprised me because other Hasidim that I asked never went. Rabbi Yisroel said, I went one time. I wanted to hear him actually in person. And he said, brilliant. He spoke brilliantly. However, he said, he repeated the same thing in different words several different times. And I took that as an insight into the way Rabbi Yisroel, who himself was a HaGoan, simply a genius in learning, his analytical style, his clear mind, his effort, his haravanya, and everything else, comments about another HaGoan, Rabbi Soloveitchik, and maybe a bigger HaGoan. So it was interesting to me to see how one HaGoan, one genius, perceived another genius. And I walked away feeling that he was not enamored with his Gaonis as far as him being machadish, him creating 2 hours of constant new insights. Rather, he had one nekuda, which was the chidush, and that was phenomenal, he said. But his ability was to repeat that same chidush in different ways, enthralling the crowd, but really it was the same chidush. So here is an example of Rabbi Yisroel who wanted to hear and see and in a sense understand the Rav Rabbi Soloveitchik. Rabbi Yisroel also was a tremendous Baal Makabel and Baal Masaper. He received a lot and he related a lot. And now I'm talking about Divrei Yemei Hasidim. For example, he told me that before he came to the Rebbe, probably in 1956 or 57, early part of 57, he and a few other Bocharim were sent to Haifa, in Eretz Yisrael, to try starting a Lubavitch yeshiva there. And I don't know if it was under the auspices of HaRav Gershon Chaim. HaRav Gershon Chaim was from the early Tmimim in Lubavitch, and he was a most Chassidish Yid. For whatever reason, the yeshiva didn't last long. It folded. I don't know why. But he told me about Reb Gershon Chaim? Who today knows about Reb Gershon Chaim? No one. We know about Berke Chaim, and Berke Chaim was Berke Chaim. But who's Gershon Chaim? Ask someone in Crown Heights who Gershon Chaim is, and I think very few will know. Reb Yisroel knew Reb Sheol Ber Zislin, and he heard him say Maimorim, and he heard him give, I believe, his Chumash Parsha Shir. And of course, Reb Shlomo Chaim is Mashpia. He was his Talmud. Here in America, he told me that he would spend a lot of time with Rab Avram Mayor. Nevertheless, he commented to me the difference between Reb Sheol Brook, who he knew from Eretz Yisroel, Rab Avram Mayor, Reb Gershon Chaim, and Reb Sheol Ber Zislin. And each of these things were to him a machshava, an entire parsha, an entire study. It wasn't just a flippant remark. Oh, I saw him and I heard him and then we go on. I'm not going to go into all the details of the differences of these Hasidim, what he told me. I've written lots of it down and Oid Chazoyin Lemoyed to publish it. But what I understood from him was that he studied these Hasidim. So for my work of recording history and writing history and things like that, it's very valuable. I'll give you another example. And this was this year. Everyone repeats a story that there was a certain Ponovich Rosh Hashiva before he became a Rosh Hashiva there, or a Maggid Shir actually. He was offered a job to be a Maggid Shir in the Lud Lubavitch Yeshiva. And the story goes that a group of Bacharim went to the talk and learning with him, and they reported back that the Chidushim were weak, and they didn't think he would work out in their yeshiva. And I had heard over the years that Yisroel was one of the Bacharim who went to this talk and learning with this Rosh Hashiva. So I met Rabbi Yisroel at Mincha time, Erev Shabbos, and after Mincha, before he went to 770 to the Rebbe's room for Kabbalah Shabbos, I asked him, and he told me point blank, it wasn't me, I was in the younger class. And then he explained to me why this Rosh Hashiva wanted the job. And in my next book, Chabad and Gedolim, I have a section on Ponovich, about the Ponovich HaRav primarily, and also Rabbi Avromli's son and his father, who were the Lubavitcher family in Ponovich, and the relationship with Rabbi Avrom, with the Ponovich Rav, Rabbi Yosef, Shlomo Yosef Kahaneman. But Rabbi Yisroel explained to me that whole parsha. Again, who would think that besides I either went to, if I had him, I went to talk and learning, I didn't go to talk and learning. He had a whole machshava. He said, let me explain to you what was going on at the time, etc., and why he wanted the position, and why he wasn't accepted, etc. So I knew when I spoke to him, it was a thought out, a developed piece of history. It wasn't just, a hearsay. Eret gesagt das and Eret gesagt das. He said this and she said this, and we make a chont and a malava malkin, then we put it in writing, and then people repeat it, and it is not true. I knew with Rabbi Yisroel, what he says, he thought about, and usually it was correct. Finally, was a very Chassidish Yid and a big Yerushalayim. One Simchas Torah, I was in the Rebbe's room, and after Akofis, I saw Rabbi Yisroel kind of take a Sefer Torah and run around the bima 7 times. And I asked him, what's this? He says, it's the Hakofis. You got it in Dafton Zib Mo. I never saw that. I never saw people being makpid themselves to go 7 times. But he did it with such a frumkeit and such a chayas that it left an indelible impression. His appreciation for our mashpia, Reb Melech Tzibul, who he told me he hired and brought to Morristown, was exemplary. Reb Melech was probably 5-6 years younger than Reb Yisroel. And Reb Yisroel told me that he chose him and brought him in to Newark to be mashpia. And I saw from the conversation that his ha'arocha, his assessment and respect for the Melech was very, very special. And we know that Melech was a very special Yid, but nevertheless, I don't know if I'm going to say now is correct, but I think it might be. I think that his respect for the Melech was probably more than anyone else that he had respect for during his lifetime, as far as a chassid his age, a few years younger, a few years older. I saw this in the Chevra Shashu. I saw this in the conversation, and I saw this when he spoke to me, just a parverte here and a parverte there, a few words here, a few words there about Reb Melech. It was tremendous. And I think it's because Reb Melech's Yediyah, his knowledge in Nigla and Chassidus and Kabbalah, and his effort, his tremendous Haravanya, where he didn't stop learning as long as he was awake. This spoke to Rabbi Yisroel, because we know that Rabbi Yisroel was a sharfer. He had a sharp tongue and a sharp mind, and he didn't tolerate nonsense. There was no time to waste, as people said on the program where they spoke about him for his shloshim. And in Reb Melech, he found such an individual. May HaKadosh Baruch, oh my gosh. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu help that Rabbi Yisroel ben Rabbi Yaakov Friedman should have a lichter in Gan Eden, and we who merited learning from him and being with him, we should emulate his ways, and this will surely bring a nachas ruach for his neshama, and surely he will be with the Rebbe and bring together with all other Chassidim and Yidden the Rebbe back down Lamata, Malkeinu Bereishenu, V'hu Yigalenu, Mashiach now.